Hello, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Now, wow, I am Esoku. I go now, go again. I can't equal go. If ain't persons. Okay, so I think we stopped at neurons, Abi, or nerves cells. Okay. In our last class, we mentioned that nerve cells are the basic unit of nervous what? System. Abi? That's what we mentioned that day. And we also had a sketch of a neuron, whereby we say that it is divided purely into cell body and what? Axons. Abi? Now the cell body has the nucleus that harbors the genetic information. The cell body also has the cytoplasm, where is actually the medium of transportation within the what? Cell body. There is what we call the dendrites. We call it what? We call it the dendrites. The dendrites are those cytoplasmic strands or that hair-like structure that helps to do what? Receive stimulus from the environment. But the dendrite forms into a bigger strand known as what? Dendron. Okay? So we mentioned that part. And also, around the nucleus lies a granules known as what? Nisi granules. This Nisi granules has what? This Nisi granules has what? Has a ribosome, Abi, which helps in the synthesis of what? Protein, right? Okay. Is there another one that we're missing? Then when it comes to axon, axon is a cylindrical tissue, right? That allow passage of what? Impulses within it. But this axon is protected by a fatty body called the myelin sheath. Abi? The myelin sheath insulate the axon so that impulses can pass what? Freely. But this myelin sheath is produced by the Schwann cell, and the outermost part of the myelin sheath is called what? Neurulima, right? Then after then, we have the constrictions between myelin sheaths called the node of Ranvier. Do you understand? Is there another thing we are missing? Is there another thing we are missing? Nothing, Abi. We've talked of, have we started types of nerve cells? Okay. But I have explained it now, Abi. Jesus, under him. Just like that. I told you that afferent neuron is also called what? Sensory neurons, Abi, which receive impulses from the sensory organs now, Abi. How is family? Why are you yawning like that now? Wow. A bit of a class. Okay, do you understand what I'm saying now? So it receives sensory information from the sensory what? Organ. Okay, and send it to the what? To the CNS for interpretation of that impulses. Okay, that's what I mentioned. Abi, for the afferent neuron. And I also mentioned that intermediate neuron, which is called association neuron, helps to join the motor neuron to the what? To the what now? To the sensory neuron. Okay, then the last one, which is efferent. Efferent is called what? What is the work of the motor neuron? Yes, it carries information or interpreted impulse or interpreted information from the what? CNS to where? Effector muscle. Let me even ask you, the dorsal root of a spinal cord contains which neuron? Aguche Lozonna. The dorsal contains which neuron? Sensory neuron. In your You know what I told you the last time, Nabi? That X represent what? Sensory now. Why the other one is motor? It will be easy for you because I know sometimes you mix it. Okay? Now it is easy to read. Or get your nature ego. Do you understand? Like if we start taxonomy now, you already know. From kingdom to what? To species. You know, sometimes it confuses whether family will come first before genus. But you can use an acronym to represent them. Also, not again. The one I use now, can someone remember? Blood of Jesus. Okay, G-Wagon K like. I mentioned 3 acronyms that day, Abi. Okay. I mentioned King Philip came over for great spaghetti, right? Then king means what? Kingdom, right? Philip means what? Came means what? Class now. Over means what? Then great means what? And spaghetti means what? Oh. Means what? Species, Abi. Or if you like fruit, you like food too much, you can say kids prefer carrot over fresh green salad. So you can use that one. Anyone you want to use is still okay. But remember that if they actually make an exam, you know where they will go. Everything concerning plants. You know, animal topic is easier. Is easier now. It's not as if it is easy. Because plant own is very, very small. You know, the context is very small. But you can understand animal own more than what? Basic ecology in somebody. You know, hormones now, you already know that progesterone is a pregnancy hormone. At least with that tag, you already know what to say if someone asks you what is progesterone. But if someone asks you, what is the work of abscisic acid? Now, can someone tell me? You know, they are teaching you organic chemistry. But you don't know that plant also produces ethylene. And ethylene is also part of this hormone. Now, someone asks you, what is ethylene? Can you? Uncle, teach us reproduction. Reproduction. In human. Now, that one is easy, Abi. Till you get to flowers. Abi? Fertilization in human and animals are very, very easy. But when it comes to plants, so I think after teaching this topic, we may actually go back to, revise those topics we've done in JAM. Our people coming here newly, at least it will be what? Also for your benefits. What is the full meaning of NADPH? NADPH. What is the full meaning of NADPH? Blood of Jesus. You don't know the full meaning. And some of you want to read medicine and surgery. I've been nursing, Abi. NADPH. Also get by AI. Or that have you now. NADPH. It is nicotinamide adenosine dinucleotide phosphate hydrogen. That's the full meaning of NADPH. What of ADP? What's the full meaning of ADP? ADP means adenosine diphosphate. ATP inko. How many of you know the pathway in glycolysis and Krebs cycle? Nobody. Now, wow. What is the end product of glycolysis? Now, wow. And if I ask you what is copulation now, you know it. Copulation. You don't know it. The way you are even saying it, it looks like a sarcasm to me. You have to know all this, okay? But let's move on. Can we write? Types of neurons. Types of neurons. Types of neurons. We've already written that part, Abby. So let us write A, afferent neurons. Or we can say afferent nerve cells. Afferent neuron. Afferent neuron. We've written the... That's what, just put a colon now. But it's good. Can you make the note by yourself now? I have explained it now. First, what you need to consider is, see, this thing will help you to assimilate this fast. Let's do it this way. I will explain again. Also, get copy what? Listen first. See, I believe let it be in your head than in that paper. That paper is just for reference. I'm jotting something down because probably after learning, not as if I don't understand, I may forget and go back to that word. Book to check, okay, see the things I want to what? Recall. But every time you hold your mandible and maxilla and be writing, although even one walk too. So listen, what you need to know while writing the three neurons is their function first and where they are connected to. Do you understand? And what is another name for it? What is another name for afferent neuron? Sensory neuron. Which connection does it have with the body? There are two ends of it. It is connected to the sensory what? Organ and the what? The CNS. So what pathway does the impulses take within the afferent neuron? It receives impulses from the sensory organ and they transport it to where? To the CNS. These are the only thing you need to know. Although in an added one, the dendrite of the sensory neuron lies on the what? On the sensory organ. Do you understand? Why the axon stays with what? With other neurons. These are the things you need to write. Can you jot it down now? Wow, Otaka Geshego University one. I was passing through this particular part. They were teaching them. No, the Abi lecturer is not even doing what? Dictating anything for them. In fact, in school, I was writing with shorthand. How many of you can write shorthand here? You don't know what shorthand means? I was writing in shorthand. Do you understand? You don't know what shorthand means? Nah, I'm Gen Z, you people are Gen Z actually. I was writing in shorthand because whatever the lecturer is saying, I am jotting. Do you understand? Sometimes I ask questions, and that's what makes you a student. But then when they get not here, they will not ask one question. Even some of them are even discussing why I'm teaching. Some of them are what? Discussing why I'm teaching. And as I'm talking now, I'm going to go the afferent neuron. Man, when they can dictate here. Now, they were like very, very clean today. Write it yourself. Try. Yes. Another name is what? Motor neuron, Abi. You can't make a sentence. Another name is what? Sensory neuron now for afferent. Now, it takes impulses from sensory organ to where? To the CNS. The CNS can be brain or what? Spinal cord. Then another one is that the cell body stays with what? The sensory organ. While the axon is for other what? Are linked to the neurons. That's all. It will make you to listen in the next one. My nature there. Nature Ebasonku wicked. You are not what? In fact, you are not throwing any wickedness at me. It's you. It's you. Jesus. It got some dictate looking note now. What have you written? Can't get the goal there. Now you people will slow my class with this kind of thing. Oh, now wow. Okay, another name key the goes also. Now wow. So when you hear water again, where does he receive the impulse? Jesus. That's the one. Sensory organ. And where does he take the impulse to? No. You can swag it you too. Na pride. You don't work with pride in a class. Write it, Biko. Then the dendrites are found where? Sensory what? Sensory organ. Why the axons are linked to where? To the neurons. To other neurons, actually. Now, after making this note, it will give you a guideline under intermediate neuron. And sighing will not even help it. If you sigh, it will be worse for you. You know, some of you have a short attention short lifespan. It's very, very bad. Teacher not allow 2 hours. Someone is even yawning seriously at that back. Should we go to number 2? Intermediate neuron. Now, what do you need to know about intermediate neuron? The first thing you need to know is that another name, because you know your exam may write it as association neuron, Abi. It may not necessarily be intermediate. So another name for intermediate neuron is what? Association neuron. Now, what is the function of this association neuron? It connects the motor to what? To the sensory neurons, Abi. So the function actually means, in other words, the impulses are sent from what? It helps to send impulse from what? Sensory nerve to the what? Motor nerve. Abi now, that's why there is connection there. Any other thing? Yes. Another thing is the axon. What is the location of the axon and the cell body? The axon and the cell body stays within what? Within other neurons. I say intermediate neuron. It is also called what? Association neuron, which joins the motor neuron and what? Sensory neuron. What is another name for afferent? Afferent, not afferent. Sensory neuron. Okay, so it joins what? The sensory neuron to the what? Motor neuron. Or you can use afferent and efferent. Efferent. Anyone you want to use is okay. See, someone, I think on Wednesday, someone came out and asked, Uncle, how can you do this? Like, you draw off heart, do this, do this. It's not by magic. It's not by magic. I worked for it. You think not just of amnesia? No. No. I have read your biology over time. Do you understand? And the way to do it is, some of you are very lazy to read. Do you understand? I've said this in JAM before, that for you to read and understand, do you think I read and understand everything? That's a big lie. Nobody will stand there and tell you that immediately he read something, you understand. There's one disorder, I've forgotten about it, that makes someone to understand things very, 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 very immediately. But let's forget about that one. What I'm trying to say is, for you to read, there are things you may not understand. And those things you don't understand, some of you bypass it. Jump and pass. You move to the next one. You think, after all, I have read 90% of the topic. They will not set question from the 10%. But you don't know that most of these people have what? Went through that particular what? Your level. If I want to ask you questions in topics you know where I will go. I will go to those ones that you will likely what? Bypass, skip. I think I did it in JAM before. I said, stand up, pick up any topic you know very well. I'll ask you a question there. If you answer 3 of them, I know now in app working at the topic. I did it. And what happened? I think God, they called 2 persons and went 2/3. I said, Uncle, what you're asking us is not in the textbook, but it is inside your textbook. Okay? So what I'm trying to say is that when you don't understand, do what? Leave it so that your focus come back for you to continue again. Or you go to other sources. And that is why now nobody is holding you to buy a particular textbook. You can go to the market, bring out different biology, and check the ones you can understand. Abi, I think Idodume is easier to comprehend than maybe modern biology can. Because you book then at that side they carry. Then you know that comprehending something is very hard for you. Modern. Okay? So another one is I don't take stimulants before I read. You know what I mean by stimulants? Things that changes your body system. It's good for your body to respond to stress. Do you know that? Once you are stressed out, your body will tell you. But that stimulant actually blocks that receptor. That helps you to what? To know when you are stressed out. When you are stressed out, give yourself some time to rest. I do it. I'm not giving you the oral like here. The upper hand. But you must be disciplined. You sleep like 3 hours, wake up. And I mean someone that have, if I'm reading now, 2 hours is enough. If you're reading 4 hours, I may follow you and go to the library. But you see me, stay with you till 4 hours. It's not possible. Because 2 hours, I know myself. You also was the newspaper can now go there. So my attention span start dwindling immediately. It is after 2 hours, and I can read fast under that 2 hours. So once I'm done, I will what? Know yourself is another part. Are you an average student? There are some people now inside these classes after teaching now. They have learned whatever they want to learn. Except if the teachers give some what? Information. Do you understand? But they can assimilate very fast. There are some that need to listen to the teacher, go back to home, read again, before it gets to their head. There are some people still that after reading, they will still not understand it. And I know some people that once they pass that stage, they'll understand the lower part. There are some people like that. Once they pass that primary 5 stuff, go to 6, they understand the 5 and start struggling with 6. Once they leave that 6, go to the other one, they understand the 6. They will not understand it at that moment. We have nocturnal readers. We have what? Diurnal readers. I'm not a daytime reader. And I can't follow you. I'm a night reader. You. It depends on you now. But if there is music, I'll leave what I'm reading and learn the lyrics. That's my problem. I'm deceiving myself. Because after I go. Block my mind. Where you have a superpower, Sha. I am someone, if I'm reading, if pin drops, I will turn. So, what type of place do you think I will stay in and read very well? Library or at night? Cemetery, kill you there. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, I'm a nocturnal reader and I know the time. My time is in between the night. I wake up around 11, read from 11 till 3 or 1, anyone, and sleep back. But if I wake up by 12 and read till next morning, my day will be useless. Please eat. If you are hungry, don't enter book. Non-Kure have gingered me today. You know I don't support that. Eat, but when you are eating, know what you are eating. Uncle, I have started supporting the food now. They are laughing. Now, they go home and just say, ma like this. You know what will happen after eating that fufu now? Stress sleep, and the sleep may take 5 hours. You are deceiving yourself. Eat something light before you what? You read. Is here mommy when can I go special now? Pap and what? Beans. That one is sleeping combo. You must sleep. Now, I have glucose D on my table anytime I want to read. I take it. Do you understand? I take it before reading. But after I must have finished reading and I'm satisfied, I go back to what? Heavy food. If I'm sleeping, I will not wake up to urinate. Uncle Agwago Kwegi, Eja Mwazie rice. Deka mountain, Madishine Nyada, or Piajuku. And say no, Uncle Ray, Gwagiri, any. For because most of you like to exaggerate what someone have said. Another one I've said that I've talked about stress, Abby. I've also mentioned eat before you what? Have a nap, but be very, very what? Now, let's say that I have a lot of things to read. Must I stick to that 2 hours? No, I mustn't. I may even stay more than 6 hours reading. But in between that 2 hours, I need to bring in distraction. This one, man, they say don't bring something that will distract you while reading. There are things you do to take you off your mind from the reading aspect. For me, I play game. But in every 2 hours, I do it 30 minutes. Then go back to what? Ufodobon Aquaria, they'll be going around, moving everywhere they what? Do you understand? They'll be moving around. Do you understand what I'm saying now? So, being distraction, but uncle have said, you should do what? Play game. Uncle should okay. Uncle so I watch aqua movie when you are. Why I'm saying this is for you to do what? For you to push off your focus from what? Book. And another one, read with fun. I go in which of my parents have this kind of blockhead I have? Where did I inherit it from? You know, there are some people that beat themselves about this. I'm looking at the two. Let's watch. And none of them will accept that word. So what I'm saying all these things is don't blame anybody if you don't understand something. Find a way and what? Understand it. And most of the time, those things you find difficult to understand but later understand sticks more than those ones. Do you understand what I'm saying? It sticks more than. You get the point now. So that's it. Please, let's continue with what we are doing. April Chichegolu Moon. Intermediate neuron. So have you written it? Okay. Are you done writing or should we go to efferent? Okay, we are not done. I said intermediate neuron is called association neuron. Which other thing did I say? It connects the sensory to the what? Motor. Abi? And also help to send information, Abi, impulses from sensory to motor, right? Any other one? The axon and the dendrite are linked with other neurons. That's all. But let's move to efferent. It is vital you write. Very, very vital. You write down something. Are we done? Please don't write this. So, efferent. The third part. Efferent. Efferent. Another name for efferent neuron is what? Motor neuron. What is the work? The work is to carry impulses from where? From the CNS to the effector muscles. Odolanya. So that means they are directly connected to where and where? CNS and what? Effector what? Muscles. We can still say effector muscle or effector organs. Organs are involved in what? For involuntary action now. Because it's also the motor neuron that responds to stimulus for your heart to what? Beat faster or slower. Okay, so effector muscle or what? Effector organ. Then, what's the last part? The axon stays with the effector muscles. The axon stays with the effector muscle, while the dendrite is with the CNS. While the dendrite is with the CNS. I'll repeat myself. Efferent neuron is also called motor neuron, which transmits impulses from the CNS to the effector muscle. It is also linked with the brain and spinal cord with other what? Part of the body, that is the effector muscle or effector organ. Okay? You already know about the axons. The axons and the dendrite. Dendrite stays with the what? With the CNS, while the axon stays with what? Effector muscle. The next part, stages involved during the transmission of impulses. Stages involved during the transmission of impulses. The first one, the one I'm coming. Just be writing. It will be on the board. I'm coming. Someone wants to ask question. Who is the person? Who is uncling me now? The third one is repolarization stage. Repolarization stage. Stages involved during the transmission of impulses. Okay, now also, at least you could have corrected me for my mistake. Mark was his room there. Eh? Stages involved during the transmission of impulses. So let's move ahead. Now, listen. Most of the exam body like asking questions from this part because it involves ions. Do you understand? They may ask you, when will a neuron be polarized? Okay? We have to look at it very, very carefully. Now, when a nerve is not transmitting any impulses, that stage is what we call what? Resting potential. What did I say? Resting potential. Now, at that point, we can say that that nerve is polarized. Why is it polarized? Because a nerve resting has something like this. Let's say this cylindrical structure is a nerve cell. Okay? The outside is made up of positively charged ion. Do you understand? While the inner part is made up of what? So at this point, we can say this is the resting stage, or resting what? Potential. Now, but when it is resting, the sodium ion is more than the what? Potassium ion. They may ask you, the inner part of the neuron is lined with potassium ion, while the outer part is lined with what? Sodium ion. When this is so, we can say that these nerves are not transmitting what? Any impulses. So resting potential is at the point where the nerve cell is at rest. Do you get the point now? So when it is at rest, there is positive outside and there is negative what? Do you understand this part? But immediately, there is an influx of impulses. What happened? The nerve cell becomes depolarized. Do you understand? Depolarization means that the minus, that is the negative ion, will move up while the positive does what? So let's represent the movement of the impulses using what? An arrow. So here we have plus, 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 plus. But at this point, there's something happening. Minus is taking over and plus is trying to replace this part. Then here is what? Minus, plus, plus, plus. What do you think? This is what we call what? Action potential. Action potential. Action potential is the stage of the nerve where there is transmission of what? Impulses. But resting potential means what? When what happened? When there is no transportation of what? Or we can say that the nerve is at rest. Do you understand? Now, after the passage of impulses, do you think this will remain minus, minus, and plus? The nerve will now repolarize itself. That is at the last part called what? repolarization what? Stage. So what do you think? At this point, let's say this is the movement of the impulse. Here there is already repolarized. It is already repolarized here at this point. No. So repolarization what? Phase. I'll repeat myself, but I'll give you the note actually. Now listen. When the nerve is resting, sodium is what? Remember. I don't know if you've been reading your past question very well. I've seen so many places where they ask this kind of question. When the nerve is not transmitting impulses, the sodium ion is on the what? On the surface of the nerve. Do you understand? So I've seen questions like that. So please make sure you know this very well. It's very, very simple. Now, as the nerve is resting, there is negative inside, there is positive outside. But immediately there is passage of what? Potential. It will depolarize. And this depolarization means the exchange of what? The negative and positive ion. Where the positive is supposed to stay up comes down, while the one that's supposed to stay down comes up. Do you understand? So that is what we call the polarization phase, which is called what? Action potential. At that point, the nerve is transmitting impulses. But after the transmission of impulses, this negative needs to, in fact, the ions need to go back where? To their former position, right? And as they are trying to recover from this, it is called what? Repolarization phase. So, can we write? So after write, do we need to draw this first before we write? Okay, draw each one of them, Abby. Well, let us write. Resting potential. This is a stage. This is a stage. This is a stage. This is a stage where this is a stage where the neuron is at rest. The neuron is at rest. This is a stage where the neuron is at rest. In other words, it is a stage or a phase where there is no transmission. Where there is no transmission, where there is no transmission of impulses. 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 Where there is no transmission of what? Impulses. Full stop. During the resting potential, the positively charged ions, the positively charged ion what? Ion are found on the surface of the neuron. Are found on the surface of the neuron. Are found on the surface of the neuron Why the negatively charged ions are found within the nerve cell. Are found within the nerve cell. So draw this. Do only this one for the resting potential. Is it the sodium and potassium? Is you will know now. With the drawing, I'm on the draw why now. You know, with the drawing, make sure you put that potassium, sodium. Are we good to go? Action potential. Number 2. Action potential. Number 2. Action potential. Number 2. Are we good to go? It is a stage where there is a transmission of impulses, within the nerve cell. Within the nerve cell. Within the nerve cell. At this stage, the nerve is depolarized. At this stage, the nerve is depolarized. At this stage, the nerve cell is depolarized because the positive ion tends to move inward. The positive ions tends to move inward. Why the negative ion migrates to the surface. 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 Are we good to go? Let's take over this. Write this. Abi draw. Whichever one. Are we good to go? Repolarization stage or repolarization phase. Repolarization phase. This is a stage after the passage of impulses. This is a stage after the passage of impulses. This is a stage after the passage of impulses. This is a stage after the passage of impulses. Where the displaced ions migrate to their former position. Where the displaced ions migrate to their former position. Migrate to their former position. You, Abby. You. Come, open up. Your own. Nah, you get watching it. Ngwa. Say that thing. Then after drawing, we'll move to the next part, which is the reflex action. Reflex action. Reflex what? Action. What is a reflex action? What is a reflex action? Just like that. What is a reflex action? It's equal involuntary action again. Now, a reflex action simply means those involuntary action that is triggered by what? Stimulus. That is triggered by stimuli or different stimuli. Example of this is sneezing. Sneezing is an example of what? A reflex action. Knee jerk. If they touch your tendon here, you move your leg forward. That is a knee jerk. Okay, blinking is also a what? Blinking is also a reflex action. Coughing is also a what? Reflex action. Okay, now let me explain something. Reflex action are controlled by the spinal cord. But after it must have been reported by the spinal cord, it goes to the brain for what? Interpretation. Now, for example, I'm carrying a hot pot of soup. I didn't know that the handle would be that hot. Mbunye enu paftia the gas cooker. It start hurting me, right? The best instinct is to drop that pot of soup so that it will what? Pour on the ground. That is the reflex action. Now, but he has started paining me, but I rather kill the pain receptor than allow that pot to fall on the ground. At that point, the impulses must have traveled from the spinal cord to the what? Brain. It is the brain that will tell me now if 15K. 15K will just go like that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Another one is like, for example, if you are walking, you didn't know that there is a pointed nail. In Machaya, will you feel at home? You retract your limb, baby. Now to show a reflex action. Because those thoughts are not what? Are not something you do at will. It is something you did unknowingly. Do you understand? Blinking is another one. Now, you are blinking without you knowing. But as I've informed you, your brain have interpreted it immediately. It becomes a voluntary action. Do you understand? That's why I said that a reflex action goes first to the spinal cord before going to the what? To the brain. Abi? Now you are blinking without you knowing. You are blinking. When you are listening, you don't know you are blinking. Till I say you are blinking before you start controlling it. It's a monko here. Hey, I can hold it. Do you understand what I'm saying? At that point, the thing must have sent impulse, that impulse from your spinal cord to your what? Now it is the work of the brain to tell you, okay, would like that. But just know that you can't hold it enough. Why is blinking a reflex action? It is triggered by the what? Environmental humidity. Abi, if your environment is very dry, you blink more. Why are you blinking more? So that the lacrimal gland will secrete. Now, how is family? Why are you sleeping in my class? He was reading, I be playing Call of Duty or Delta Force. Don't sleep in my class. Please, this place. See, a learning theater is not a place for what? For sleep. Because had it mean it is meant for sleeping, you could have seen bed here, not chairs. So if you don't like, just go home and what? Sleep away your talent. I don't know why you be in class and be. So you still have another class, right? Okay, this is the end. Okay, for Friday now. I'm teaching to 3. Well, let's move on, please. Now, a reflex action is something you do unwillingly. Okay? Like someone, some of you, when I'm teaching, you are pinching someone below the limb. And when you pinch that person, the person moves the leg forward. And your brain will not what? You have to retrieve your hand before you know that caused the pain. Okay? Sweating is another one. Shh. For those of you I see, I don't know. Some of you are not going to the bank to withdraw money. Some of them are going there to drink water from dispenser and narrow-belly AC before they go home. And those people at the head, they are what? No book. They will collect that, what do we call it? Teller. African man in the and then we here on the air. Writing their way how? Do you understand what I'm saying now? They will continue to that, but they are enjoying the day. But one thing you don't know is that you are killing yourself, because once you move from that AC and come outside becomes a hellfire. Now immediately that change in the temperature triggers sweating, Abi? And that sweating, is it a reflex action? I said that any involuntary action that are triggered by external stimulus is called what? A reflex what? Action. Abi? You are walking ofu one small ant. Shinimi by a throat. That's what you start doing, Abi. Your throat lining will trigger this response. Can you control the coughing? You can't. Even sneezing, some people say, Uncle, I can block the... You can block the response. It's a big lie. But it will still come. You swallow it. This guy is Merlin. But this is the land of Camelot. Let's move on, please. So, there are a lot of reflex action. I say that it is majorly controlled by the what? By the spinal cord. Abi? And there's something I was reading. That organisms that have more of reflex action survive than organisms that do things voluntarily. Like for example now, If you jump from a fourth floor and your head first, yes, you don't have any reflex action that can help you to turn so that it will be your leg that will land. You put your hand on the head. Nah, I like your faith. Do you understand what I'm saying now? So now inside, in fact, that's why sometimes if some of them are falling from that particular height, they faint. Because their brain cannot contain the enormous pain coming from or the uncertainty. They will faint. But a cat has a reflex action, Abi. There's no matter how you throw a cat, it will land on its feet. Do you understand? But the voluntary action also makes us what? At the top of the food chain. Do you understand? That voluntary action, most of the action will do that is controlled by the brain, makes us human being. Even though our reflexes are not that good. Our reflexes are not that good. Do you know that? Yeah. We don't have much reflexes. Do you understand? Like the example of you can't even quantify your reflex with the reflex action of a snake. I think a raccoon is another one with a good. Another one was the king of this jungle they call what's the name of that? Not antelope, honey badger. Honey badger can dodge what? The movement of a snake. It can. Rat, yes, cats can also do it. But sometimes I ask myself, I don't know what makes us that. Apart from the brain. Apart from this brain, we are not adapted to anything. Smell we lack. You perceive something for a long time, you start perceiving it. Except if it is intense. At that moment, you perceive it and it goes. A particular signature of smell continues to come to your nose for like 6 months, you will not perceive it again. That's why people that are living in a house don't know the smell of their house. Till mother say, you maintain your steez. Although the house is neat. But there is one smell you, a stranger, will perceive. The same thing goes to perfume. No matter the amount of perfume you buy, there is a time, let's say you are using that same signature for like 1 year. It ceases to enter your nose. Are you sure this company have changed handing? I can't smell myself again. It seems like if I spray it, it leaves. The scent stays in the house while I leave. Man, I buy perfume now, man. When you spray it inside the house, no, you will come inside and say, why is this not smelling? If you smell your house, you say, yes, it's smelling, but not on your what? Clothes. Okay? So, but a dog have different signature of what? Smell. Abi? A dog can differentiate the owner just through smell. My former dog, Snow, if Boomer Steve, if I'm just on the second level, do you understand? You understand? Before you even come up, you have started waggling the tail. Do you understand? You'll be hearing the noise of this and running around in my room. I already know that he have sensed that I'm what? Back home. Is our body adapted to aquatic environment? No. Do you understand? Even the eyes is not eyesing. A hawk can see more farther than us. Do you know that? Do you know that we even have an impended vision too? Our vision don't even see 180. And if you lose one eye, this nose becomes a blockage to a particular vision. Do you know that? Close one eye, you see that your nose is covering some part of the vision. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't. why our center of gravity is unstable. Do you know that? As you are standing, as I'm standing erect, if you push me from the front, I will fall down. That's why if someone wants to shoot a gun, you put the leg the other side so that the center of gravity will be where? At the center. Our center of gravity is not centering at all. What? Even our tongue too. Even ear too. Pina is not even moving. Do you understand? And when you know something, you say, okay, change. Your head moves with your ear. But you know now, rabbits can stay in one place without rotating the head on something like the or mentia like this to collect the sound. On the way to take away as well again. An owl looks like us that doesn't have that movement of the ear, but the head can rotate 360. Our chances of survival is even down too. We don't produce much. Abi, in one we produce only one, highest two. In the rarest of the rarest is 8. I've lost also twin. Oh, get more on car. Please, can we move on, please? When someone what? I can actually say that. Shh. Hello. You know, one thing that makes us, in as much as Nana ko nwayo, do you understand? But our adaptability is higher than other what? Animals. Oh, you two are right? Do you think that if you go to Europe, hello? Since I can't breathe under oxygen, I use what? Oxygen cylinder to go into the what? Water. Happy now? I'm staying in a hot environment. Invention of AC. Do you understand what I'm saying? Our adaptability. So when someone is blind, they tend to develop other sense. Do you understand? But they cannot hear more than the normal decibel. Do you understand? Someone, I can tiptoe into someone's house that is what? Blind. Or mama. Except if there is a noise. He or she may feel a presence that the instinct, but the instinct may not be what? Will be a kind of estimation. Person may not know. Okay? But come on, I've been telling someone this thing. Instead of going blind, because before you know that you want to eat feces, it still reaches your nose. Reflex action. Reflex action can be defined, right? Don't worry, when I finish, you ask. Reflex action can be defined as those involuntary actions. As those involuntary actions that are triggered by external stimulus. Reflex actions are those involuntary actions that are triggered by external stimulus. It is majorly controlled by the spinal cord. It is majorly controlled by the spinal cord. By the spinal cord. By the spinal cord. Reflex arc. Reflex arc, subheading. reflex arc. People want to know what I will do, Sha. Till one day you will do it when I'm in a bad mood. Okay? Do it when I'm in a bad mood. I'll use you as an example. What is a reflex arc? A reflex arc, listen. A reflex arc. A reflex arc is the pathway taken by what? A reflex action during it what? Transmission. I'm not Jesus Christ. I said a reflex arc is that pathway taken by reflex action during its transmission. You know what I mean by transmission, Nabi? During it what? Transmission. Okay, can I copy Aniana? I said reflex arc is the pathway taken by the reflex action during its transmission. During its transmission. Reflex arc is the pathway taken by what? The reflex action during its transmission. You can call it transportation, anyone you want. Now, component of reflex arc, number one. Component of reflex arc, number one, sensory organ. Sensory organ is number one. Component of reflex arc, subheading. What's the work of the sensory organ? They have receptors that what? That builds up a stimulus. Abi? A receptor that what? That brings about what? A stimulus. That is the first one. It has receptors that what? That builds up stimulus. The second one is spinal cord. What is the spinal cord? It is the part that what? Controls what? Reflex action. It is a part that controls reflex action. Reflex action. Reflex action. The third one is the motor neurons. What is the work of the motor neurons? Yes, it is responsible for transportation. It is responsible for transportation of impulses. It is responsible for transportation of impulses. Transportation of impulses, Abi. Transportation of impulses to the effector organs or muscles. Another one is sensory neuron. You already know the work now. These are the four components of a sensory what? Of a reflex arc. Sensory nerve. You can write that one, Nabi. It is responsible for transmission of what? Impulses from the sensory organ to the CNS. From the sensory organ to the CNS. From the sensory organ to the CNS. I said it is responsible for transmission of impulses from the sensory organ to the CNS. Sensory organ to the what? CNS, component of reflex arc. Now, inhibition of reflex action, subheading. Inhibition, or you don't need to write it actually. But I will explain. Inhibition of reflex action Or if you want to write it, you make the note, but listen. What is inhibition? Now, listen. I told you that I am about carrying a hot pot of soup. But, I thought that the hotness would not reach the handle. And immediately I brought it out. Now, I started feeling that pain some milliseconds after lifting it up. At that point, the normal thing to do is what? To drop that pot of soup. But as the thing have traveled to the brain for interpretation, knowing the cause of what is inside the container, the reflex action is now inhibited, and I hold it till I find a safe place to drop it. Do you understand? Now another one is that pin manyaginopa. You are someone that have one pride. You tell people that you are stronger than the strongest. Manyaginopa, boom. In everybody and you hit your bag. At that point you're supposed to retrieve your leg and shout. Do you understand? Man actually maintain his things at that moment. Do you understand? And remove it. As you are removing it, you're supposed to shout too. But now, that's what we call inhibition of what? Inhibition of what? Reflex action. I told you are blinking. You stop blinking because I said you cannot do it at will. That is inhibition. Do you understand what I just explained now? So that's all. Okay? And no need of talking about voluntary action again, but I will explain. Voluntary action are those actions that you do at will. Okay? What are the examples? Okay? But do you know that voluntary actions, most of them are called condition reflex? I'm going to explain. I said that some voluntary actions are called condition reflex. I will explain. Condition reflex. What is a condition reflex? Now, a condition reflex is a learned response. Is a learned what? Response. Something we have started mastering over time. Like for example, walking is a condition reflex. Now when I was small, all I do is to crawl. From that particular stage, I try to stand up and support myself so that I will not fall. I'll step forward and fall. Do you understand what I'm saying? As time goes on, I'll start walking very well, but I cannot run. If I run, I fall down. Then from there, I'll start running. At that point, do you think before you walk, even when you are walking, do you watch your step? Do you watch your step? Like, okay, come to work banker before nganka. Abi, you are not thinking about it, Abi. It's a learned response. Condition what? Reflex. As I walk in self, as I'm teaching, what is going in my mind is the topic. Which topic will move from this condition reflex to another one? I am not thinking about how my leg is moving again. Sometimes I may not even know that I'm walking up and down. I am thinking. That is a learned what? Reflex. Some of you have a good voice, but you need to master the art of singing. You go to, you register for one particular choir organization. Do you understand? They start teaching you, see the way tempo is supposed to be. Now, if a piano or an organist is playing a particular key, this is how you sing it. As time goes on, you start relating to that what? Key. Once a piano plays this, you already know the key to enter. Okay, do you think about it? Do you understand? Like you are speaking Igbo very well. Fonde na asuku Igbo well. Do you understand? Do you think when to put anyegara Or, sometimes that means Arwadi Chaloge. Why will you be thinking about what to put? Eh? As far as you a call Igbo girl or you call Igbo boy, why will you be thinking of what to speak? Okay, so all this singing is a part of condition reflex. Yes, yes. I'm a chorister too. And when don't even try to tell me to sing. Listen, shh. Now, although I stopped for some time now, but when I was growing what up, it have not been far this in. Shh. When I started, they started training my voice. They want to know which part I will belong. Hello, shh. They want to know whether there are some male that have soprano, but this my voice cannot work with soprano. Do you understand? They have to check whether you be on an alto singer. Even in tenor, you have tenor A and B. The one with a higher pitch and the one that is almost falling into bars. You have all of them, Gunny. Do you understand? Now, under that bars, we still have the one that is almost to the tenor part. Do you understand? And we have the one that have that. I don't know that song in TikTok. There is one guy that that's that they use it for for videos of deep. What do we call that C? That C that is I've forgotten the reason. But that deeper voice that they use when they want to portray evil. You know that deeper voice now. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, there is a scientist called Ivan Pavlov. There is a scientist called Ivan Pavlov. Ivan Pavlov. Shh. He worked on what? Condition reflex. Now, what he used as a specimen is a dog. What is the scientific name of dog? What's the scientific name of dog? Canis domestica or Canis familiaris. Okay? But let's forget about that part. Now, Ivan Pavlov was able to do this experiment in 1902. Okay? In 1902, he experimented using what? Dogs. Now, remember, whenever you bring food closer to a dog, what happened? It starts salivating, right? Now, he wants to know whether, if without the sight of that food, the dog will continue the salivating. Now, this is a learned behavior over time. Now, before he brings his food, he rings a bell. Do you understand? Once he rings that bell, he brings the food. At a point, he continued to do this for some years. Then he stopped. Then, when he now ring bell and come outside, he was already seeing the dog what? Salivating. The dog have associated the what? The voice of that bell with its food. Because someone once I call bell, nigga apota. I don't know whether you are getting what I'm saying. My dog also salivates whenever I'm coming back. My common I get go tell you a small thing. Video me okokwa. Now wow. But listen, dog is a beautiful thing, no? Yes. But dog na choke sometimes. You understand? And that thing behaves like a human. When I was teaching evolution, I explained that part. Okay? Where it started learning what? Characters of what? Human. My dog, Snow, went somewhere. But I'm not sure the dog actually. He was inside the house, but I was looking for it. Under my furniture. Jedin land. Onwiki home. Once you see that a dog hiding, a man up agaru. First thing I went to is I cooked a new soup that day. I have to take. Kama no kwasi go makoto ako share around. Opuna. My dissing and I said, how? Snow. I started calling Snow. Snow didn't come out. Ngazi na my cushion obona. Odogia. Wet off the for be harmful top to you. Toma game fair na war. So condition reflex, I've explained it using the experiment done by what? Ivan Pavlov. I think this part is the last topic. Sorry, the last part of this topic before we now move into plant nutrition. Okay? So can we write? Condition reflex. Condition reflex. Condition reflex is a type of action that is learned by an organism over a period of time. That is learned by an organism over a period of time. Over a period of time. Once the organism becomes a mastery of that action, mastery of that action, it does it without thinking. Example of condition reflex are example. Number one is walking, singing. Any other one? What? Sweeping. Flying. Hey, flying. If we are not talking about human, Nabi, because every bird will learn how to fly before start flying. Although flying is part of it. Condition what? Reflex. Any other one? Salivating quoi? Jumping, yes. Leaping. Let's when they're shitting na your exam that day. Ngwatieze end of teachers' capacity. We are not going to talk about Ivan Pavlov here. So remember that he worked on condition reflex using what? Dog. So you can just make a little sentence there so that we can move to another topic. Okay? So we are done with genetics. And we have also explained nervous what? Nervous coordination. Then we'll be talking about plant nutrition. So your other teachers will take other systemic topics. All right, let's move ahead. Nutrition. What is nutrition? Well, there is you have other biology teachers, Abby. We divided the topics, so I'll be doing plants. I love plants too. I love plants. Okay? And plant is even easier than animal, Abby. But I know some people say it is difficult, but it's easier. Although people say that it is boring. Plant topic is boring. You are welcome to the boredom. Let's start. Nutrition. What is nutrition? Remember that nutrition is a part of a characteristics of what? Living things. Abi, can you give me the characteristics of living thing? Mr. Niger D. So you get then I'll Mr. Niger D. The first one is called what? Movement. The second one is called what? Respiration. The third one is called what? Nutrition. The fourth one is called what? Electability. Electability, have you? Hey, Ndanambra. That's electability. The fifth one is what? Excretion. That, but sometimes some topic divided that into competition, adaptation, and lifespan. Okay, so all these are what? Because every organism must adapt. Happy? There are two things an organism must do to survive or for them to continue their existence. Number one is to reproduce. An organism that doesn't reproduce, new ones, young ones will become old and old will die. And when the old dies, what happens? Extinction occurs, Abi. But let's say they can reproduce, but they cannot adapt. Just swift change in environmental factor will sweep them away. But if they can adapt, and what? But you know that advanced adaptation is called what? Evolution. Do you understand? They continue to adapt at the surface level till it gets to the genetic what? Level, which is now called evolution. For those people that their eyes is, I don't understand. Inequisi kagama lizard. Utua. I don't understand. What is even making you to sleep at this hour of the day? Yeah? Okay, they have been watching TikTok too. TikTok. And at all. And I thought about my 5 naira. I be doing that thing is good, self. It's not good. It's a very big setback, but some of you don't know. Do you understand? It's a very big setback. Shh. Hello. Something you should know is that you can't steal from people freely. Do you understand? You may say a guy on the physical level, but you are doing yourself more damage on the spiritual level. Like some of them, my sister is into selling of hairs. And when KP go from the CCTV, Zuru, hair. I said, and I said, most of the time, see people the way they are. You don't look people as the way they are big. Once that person has something that covers the face, the tendency of stealing is there. They get ukap bateba. Go funsi and kwa bonus scheme. Buy one and pick one free. But why will you be stealing? I think one thing you should do for yourself is contentment. Be contented with what you have. If you don't have the money to, and it goes up to 500 and something thousand. The CCTV captured her, but it is way above for the face to be covered. You understand? But at the surface, he got any megogene, irugo guy. And know that there are some people you cannot steal from. Yes. There are some people you cannot steal from. Why will you be stealing? If I don't have the money to buy this clothes, I will rock the one I have. Mechen sochayan piayes bote hot iron. Do you understand? And walk my way. Hey, iji moto, ejim legged his Benz. It's none of your business. But the truth is that some of those people that have done diabolic things to be rich, suffer, you what? Because someday, one of the days, they will tell you, do this, do that. And you what? You will obey and say, okay, backward. Some of your friends will do it and tell you, guy, come now. I have a friend that have told me, I say, what is there? From Obale Una Bobala Madu. I said, no, from there. You enter another one. Before you know it, I say, what is mag? What's the need of making the money when people are around you are no longer there? Because you know that the friends you are even keeping can be temporal. Little thing they misunderstand you, they move. So it's only that family that they are tasking you to bring that will actually do what? Stay. Just to what? My own is first. I still upgrade myself. When the money comes, we know it have come. Do you understand? As far as it, things are going inside there. The stomach infrastructure is built well. Do you understand? Things, because health is what? Wealth. You know, some of you think that health is only based on physical health. There's mental health too. Whereby after doing that, what will happen? You not stay okay. Especially those people that belong somewhere. You get. Contentment is the best. Because there are some people, Izu Akagato. I know one like that. I think in, what's the name of this one? Boys. Have you asked yourself why those people actually leave their furniture open? This is not something coming to your mind. Why are they leaving their this open? You know boys now, those furniture people. In the night, you see them leaving it like that. Jesus will know you now. Have you faced the sun before? Like once you pick something there, anya chakwasi goes yemegene. Inachiazo. Tukula and face it there. Your eye will follow the moon till morning. Have you heard of that one? Okay, if you've not heard of that one. Stop stealing, even though the person will not do you anything. But you are incurring costs upon your what? Upon yourself. Be contented. Every 3 days. Yes. Let them not borrow loans spiritually from your head. Some of you don't know this, Abby. Someone can go and say, I borrow loan from the girl you are dating, and they will do it. Why? Because out of contentment, if a guy say, before and I say, I like you too. You have to. It's not as if as we are grown up like this. But we have seen the bad side, seen the good side. The good side looks as if it's not working, but it will give you what? Peace of mind. When that money comes, I always tell people they are early bloomers. You know that. They are late bloomers. I think they call them media bloomers or middle bloomers. There are some people that at the age of 24, they will make money. Some at the 30, 35. Work according to your what? Pace. And that is why I say that whenever you are picking whatever you are picking, even as you are studying, get one what? Skill. Hold one skill. Or even two self. You don't know where your saving grace will come. Academic may save you. Street may save you. And street, the only way street can save you is if you have a skill. But what if you have the connection? You go into what? Academics fully with your certificates. You understand what I mean? What you have, the product of your academic years. Even those things they are picking, there are people making a lot of money. I know some of the tech gurus that do what? That pick thousands of what? Dollars every month. I have a junior software engineer. A guy. You know how much? His remote job is only Yahoo man pick it in the next 1 year. And I'm not joking. If you become a senior there, do you know how much? I think it's from 22. 22 per year. I be 22 per month. I don't know what they are saying. But $22,000 because I multiply by 1.5. Nutrition actually means what? A process whereby what? Organisms derive foods from the environment to nourish their body. That nourishment is in form of what? I am explaining now. What are you guys writing? Hey. Time. Nourishment comes in form of repairing your worn out tissues, Abi? Or what? Replacing old ones. Or producing of what? New ones. Now, but in nutrition, we have two types, autotrophic and heterotrophic. In our next class, I think we'll continue from where we stop. Bye-bye.